Hello, my snow angels, and welcome back to my series where I talk about different music artists. I can't think of a more perfect time than now to talk about Megan Thee Stallion's new documentary, In Her Words. Things are about to get a lot tougher for women, and we all need to learn from Megan and her experience. So, I first heard of Megan Thee Stallion when WAP came out, and then I heard about her getting shot. I remember that I remember thinking that she was very strong for getting through that, but I didn't think that much about it until watching this documentary. I got into her and her music after it was announced that she was going to be a feature on a remix of Butter by BTS. At first, I was skeptical because artists in the past used BTS and phoned in their features to get clout. So I was suspicious, but I decided to give her a chance. And I'm glad that I did because I found out that not only is she a phenomenal rapper that really brings the essence of what hip hop is. In fact, listening to her stuff does remind me of early hip hop. But she is also a woman that I really admire. So I was excited when I found out about her documentary, and I decided that I needed to cover it. Turns out that this was the perfect time to watch it after the election the other day. I was super down and depressed because things are about to get much harder for women. Megan's story, though, really struck a chord with me, and I just knew that I needed to cover this. Of course, I'm going to give a content warning that there will be talk of assault, gun violence, and PTSD, and a mental breakdown. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. The documentary opens with her in Guadalajara and her saying that she wanted to cancel all her shows because she's reached a breaking point where she's tired and doesn't want to do it. She's not having fun and is always close to having a breakdown. There's always a target on her back, and it's been really hard on her. So she became Megan Thee Stallion to protect Megan Pete, but she doesn't know exactly what she's trying to protect. I made a video about personas about a month or two ago, and I did talk about this kind of thing, and I did talk about her. So this gave a lot of clarity about her persona. And when I made that persona video and brought her up, I clearly didn't know the bare minimum of it and what was going on. So this documentary gave me a lot of clarity on that. The next scene is her graduation in 2021 at TSU in Houston. Graduating college was a huge deal for her, and she felt very accomplished, but she wanted her mom to be there to see it. Whenever she goes to Houston, all she feels is loss, but she knows that she wouldn't be where she is without her mom. This is where the documentary introduces a recurring artistic choice that I really like as someone who loves art and animation being done in very tasteful ways. Megan famously loves anime, so this choice also makes sense for her. During the documentary, any scene that is too private to show what happened or there's no footage of, as these are naturally private moments, there is an animation of what happened, which I think is a really respectful choice. Eventually, the animations do all connect together in a very artistic way that really brings the catharsis. And so when that comes up, I will talk about that. So in this animation, we're taking back to the year 2000 with a young Megan and her mother in the car. Her mom could really rap. When she would wake up in the morning before work and taking Megan to school, she wrote raps. In the car, she'd play instrumentals and freestyled over them. Her mother was a real strong woman, and Megan wanted to be like her when she grew up. So growing up, she was around her mom and her grandmothers, and they uplifted her with positive things to say. But things started to change in school, as it tends to do. She started getting bullied for being so tall, and it really got to her. So crying, she went to her mom, and her mom told her to stop crying and to demand respect. So she did that with everything. For the first 8 years of her life, her father was in prison, so when he got out, they were always together. The words that she remembered from him was something along the lines of, anything that grins ain't your friend. Tragically, when she was in ninth grade, he suddenly passed away from a heart attack. Understandably, her mom was a mess after, so Megan felt like she needed to be strong for her sake, so they really didn't talk about it. That's when she started becoming Megan Thee Stallion, because when she raps, she can pretend to be a stronger person. When she put up her first YouTube video of her rapping, she showed her mom, who was shocked. Megan did everything she could to impress her mother so she could feel that she could pass the torch to her. She was writing songs in class, which I can relate to since I did the same thing, but Megan is at a whole other level. Her and her mom would try to outdo each other, and her mom was her biggest fan and even recorded her freestyle videos from her car and always pushed her to do better, do another take, do it from the good angles, everything. Her mom was really good about it. Her mom wanted to be her manager and to make things happen for Megan. In 2018, she put out Make a Bag and entered the scene. Her mother was always the smartest, and Megan wanted her to know that she was listening and learning from her. She performed everywhere she could, at bars and clubs every night, because she knew that that was what she loved to do, and her mom was there every step of the way. When she released Big Ol' Freak, she started to blow up. She loves to use her music to uplift and empower people, especially women. Since she is confident in her sexuality, she wanted other women to be too, and to know that they have power and control. This resonated with a lot of people, and this was when she was at her happiest. Then the year 2019 came, and that all changed. The night before she had a show in LA, her mom called saying that she was fucking up her words, didn't feel normal, and wanted her to call 911. The doctors found out that there was a tumor in her brain, which shocked Megan. Then she started having back-to-back seizures, and they were forced to put her under since she was brain dead. Megan stayed there every day, hoping that her mom would bounce back. Once the realization set in that it wasn't going to happen, she knew that she couldn't keep her like that, because she knew that her mother wouldn't want to stay in that condition. So she had to make the very difficult decision to pull the plug, which I cannot begin to imagine how difficult that must have been for her, how strong she would have had to be to do that. 3 weeks later, she went on stage and said that she wasn't canceling her shows because her mom wouldn't want her to do that. At this performance, she shared a video of her and her mom. After her mom was gone, she forgot who she was and lost a lot of her confidence. She was so used to her mom directing her on everything that the void that she left was really hard for Megan to deal with. She wanted to be happy like her fans and try to be strong every day because that's what she thought her mom would want. Even before she died, she didn't want Megan to stop on account of her being sick. She left Houston and never moved back. Then she started winning awards. In 2020, she manifested a collab with the Beyoncé during COVID and quarantine. She got her first #1 during that year. Then shit really hit the fan. Kelsey was her best friend and was always around after her mom died. She wanted to be there since her mom couldn't, and Megan was glad to have her there. But her first year without her mother was the worst year of her life. The loss was too much for her, understandably, and so she kept partying, drinking, and having sex, thinking that it would get her through the pain. Enter Tory Lanez. Since they bonded over losing their moms, she thought that he was her friend. In recalling this, she brought up what her dad said about anything that grins ain't your friend. Megan, Kelsey, Tory, and his driver were in the car on July 12th, 2020, arguing. She tried getting out of the car at one point, but he convinced her to get back in. He continued to escalate and get angrier because a woman had hurt his feelings. She was wearing nothing but a swimsuit, by the way, and this part was all animated. She finally got out of the car again and started to walk away when he got out and yelled, "Dance, bitch." He fired his gun and it hit her in the foot. In the animation, she was crawling and dragging herself away while he was freaking out. He kept apologizing and telling her that he would give her $1 million if she never told anyone. She was thinking that he was absolutely crazy. Who the fuck cares about money right now? They needed to fucking help her. Helicopters and police arrived and she started to panic. This was not long after George Floyd was murdered by the police, so understandably, she thought that the police would kill them. A very understandable fear to have for a black woman at any time, but especially then. She didn't want Tory to be killed, so when they questioned her, she lied, saying that she had stepped on glass. Still being questioned, she was taken to the hospital. The doctor came in while the police were still there to tell her that there were bullet fragments in her feet. So, of course, what could she do there? While she was recovering, she blamed herself for not seeing the signs that Tory wasn't a good person. It makes me sad that she blamed herself when he was the one who should have all the blame for using her and then hurting her. He fucking shot her. Like, for the love of God, he needs to have all the blame. But that wasn't the worst of the betrayal. Because not even 2 days later, Kelsey was meeting with Tory privately to try to sweep this under the rug. That was the bigger betrayal. Meanwhile, in the hospital, the shells had to get removed from her feet, and she so badly wanted to move on. Unfortunately, that wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to be that easy. 6 weeks later, she got out and went back to work. She did not want to go into a dark place, so she decided that keeping herself busy was the best answer. She was scared that she wouldn't be able to dance again, but she was also determined to not let a man be her downfall. Then WAP came out, which had a huge impact on women. It showed that when women get together, men are afraid. It also got criticism for being degrading. Unfortunately, I was also of that opinion. And I want to apologize for thinking that because I was very wrong, and I don't think that now. The double standard was really showing here because men can rap about the most atrocious things and get away with it because it's the culture. It's hip-hop culture. Whereas women get slut-shamed for embracing their sexuality. Women are labeled as liars if they don't sleep with a man and they're sexual beings. Who didn't want to sleep with you, bro? Tory was charged for shooting her, but somehow she ended up getting the backlash. He started lying about what happened, and a lot of people took his side. They started twisting her words and making her out to be the liar, even though she was the one who fucking got shot. And he was the one who pulled the trigger. Like, for the love of God, I don't understand. She was waiting on Kelsey to say something, and boy, did she say something. She ended up spinning a story that Tory was her boyfriend and Megan stole him and slept with him. So now she was being painted as someone who betrayed her best friend, even though it was the other way around. Megan felt so hurt by this because it's unfathomable that a best friend would take the side of the shooter. Fast forward to April 2022, 8 months before the trial. She had an interview with Gayle King, and she wasn't feeling very well. All this time, she spent too much time online because she wanted someone, even strangers, to say something good about her, to believe her. And I feel so sorry that during this time, I didn't know much about this situation, and I couldn't be one of those voices to support her. I wish that I paid more attention because she didn't deserve to go through any of that. I absolutely 100% would have supported her, and I regret that I wasn't paying attention. During her interview, she admitted that her anxiety is a lot higher and she has trust issues, which I think it would be insane if she didn't, to be honest. I think anybody who'd go through that would have massive anxiety and trust issues. She got shot by someone she thought was a friend. Yeah, you'd have trust issues. Gayle then really pressed Megan about if she had sex with Tory. So she said that she never did. When she got out of the interview, she felt absolutely drained, understandably, because she felt like everyone was missing the point. Who the fuck cares who slept with whom? He fucking shot her. That's the point. That should be the point. That should be the point of conversation instead of who slept with who. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Because, yeah, that's what was important, was that she was shot. But everyone, of course, wanted the juicy, sensationalized story. They wanted the tea at her expense. Her manager told her that she needed to face this head on. Then she expressed her hurt that Kelsey was her best friend since 2013, and she betrayed her over money, even though Tory fucking shot her. Yeah, I'm pretty heated about this, so this section I am dropping quite the language. After her interview was out, people on the internet were fucking analyzing her body language. God, I can't stand those people. It's ridiculous. Analyzing body and face language is pseudoscience to me, as it's not an accurate way to determine anything. Sure, maybe you can tell small things, but it's all assumptions. It's all judgments and assumptions. It's just a way for assholes on the internet to make judgments that suit them and their narrative. And that's absolutely what was happening here. These bitches took this shit and ran with it. It was validating them. It was validating those assholes and their opinions of her. It baffled her that no one was talking about the fact that she was shot. Like, I don't think it, you could be more clear about that. Like, a kindergartner would understand that. So it's baffling. She admitted when she was talking to her manager that she slept with him, but it was only once, maybe twice. She doesn't recall because she was drunk and mourning her mother. We can call her some slack. Jesus Christ. That was not what was important, and it meant nothing. All she did that year was drink and have sex, and she didn't know that he was going to do this to her. There was no way she would have known. Otherwise, she probably wouldn't have slept with him. But she was mourning her mother. Like, come on. Calm the fuck on. Who cares? Who cares that she slept with him one time? He shouldn't have shot her. Do I need to say this louder? He shouldn't have shot her. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what happened before. He still pulled the fucking trigger. I don't know what else I could say. She felt like if her mom was there, it wouldn't have happened. She felt tired of fighting back, which I totally understand, but she needed to. In May 2022, she started recording her album Traumazine, which was hard to make because it was her diary. She usually deflects what she's feeling, so it was really hard for her to be open about what was going on in her head to millions of people. The fact of the matter was that everything that happened online after the shooting was 100 times worse than the actual shooting because she was put on public trial, which is definitely one of the biggest problems with the internet, one of the biggest problems I have with it. It felt like everyone was out to get her, and she was tired of being on edge and pretending to not be. When she's happy, she's scared that something bad will happen, which if you're in her position, that is a very natural thing to feel. She wanted that to stop because she wants to be able to live in the moment and enjoy the good times. She wanted to think that she deserves to have good things happen to her. In July 2022, it was tour season. Since she had been shot, she had anxiety about performing. She's scared that someone will do something to her. People online were saying that he should have aimed higher. I'm not kidding. People were actually saying that. Of course, that got to her. It would get to anybody. And made her paranoid about what was just trolling and what was reality. You really don't know. She didn't know who would be among the thousands of people coming to her shows. That's fucking terrifying. And she didn't understand how he was getting away with it while she was the one that was suffering for it. He texted her and said that she looked sad, so she got a new number, phone, and a restraining order. After her set for Rolling Loud and during the baby set, he came on stage wearing a mask, and he knew that he could get away with it. It's sick. And he went even further with it, because in his music video, he chopped up horse legs. Seeing that shit made me want to vomit. That is appalling. How can you defend that? How could you ever defend that? That is sick. That is actually sick. And people are laughing about it online. How? You are all sick. Get help. That is disgusting. Okay, I need to calm down. But people can be really cruel. This was him openly threatening and mocking her. Yet everyone was supporting him. So many men in the industry were supporting him. And she was having terrifying PTSD nightmares. She wasn't sleeping and she was becoming more on edge. It was affecting her so much, but she didn't want people to think that she was weak. When she was in Tokyo, she decided to rest. However, there were some things that she couldn't cancel. She talks about how it was hard to remain the same person while navigating the industry. She had to hold on to the good people because they are hard to find. And yeah, I absolutely believe her there, considering what she's been through. Luckily, her cousin Lydia is one of those people. However, Megan feels lonely in every relationship of her life. She does know that there's not much that can be done about that, unfortunately. After the ceremony of getting the key to the city of Houston, which that's a huge deal, she visited her mother's grave since she had never gone. And I'm sure that was really hard, but really good for her. In August 2022, Traumazine was released. She said in an interview that her mom always told her when she was doing a great job, but now she doesn't know if she is. She blocked out the part of her life of releasing that album because it was hard to face herself. This album was more for her than for anyone else. While she was rehearsing for SNL in New York, her California home was broken into. The invaders somehow knew that she would be away. Then suddenly Drake said that she was lying about the shooting. And to be honest, I never liked Drake. I know some people are going to be claiming that, but genuinely, I never really liked him. And I'm glad that I never did, considering all the shit that's been coming out about him over the past year, but also after hearing this. Anyway, after the home invasion, she decided to take a break. In November 2022, she went on a mental health retreat for a month in an undisclosed location, which I'm glad it was undisclosed. And she had to cancel what would have been her first shows in Australia, but her mental health is more important. This was another animation scene when she had a real breakdown. It was all dark and ugly in her mind. She didn't feel like she was worthy or that her life had value. She had to call 911 because it was so bad that she couldn't breathe. She had to keep going through the shooting with a therapist every day. She was learning how to process it properly. And in therapy, I had to do this too. She was told to find a calm and safe place and go there in her mind, but she doesn't remember the last time she had that or felt like that. The animation of the shooting was happening in reverse at this point. And it was really cool the way that it was animated because it was showing how she was processing things through therapy. It was a very, very cool artistic choice and just so beautifully done. She came back in December 2022, the day before the trial. Her retreat really helped her. And she talked about how before she went, she couldn't get out of her bed for 3 days because the anxiety was so crippling. And it's not a good place to be in mentally. I've been through something similar just last year. It wasn't for 3 days, but it got ugly. It got really ugly. I was lucky that I had someone there. Otherwise, it could have gone uglier. But yeah, those thoughts are running through my mind too of not feeling worthy and not feeling good enough. So I am really, really, really grateful that she called 911 and she went to the retreat. She went through therapy and was able to help get herself straightened out because that shit is terrifying, and that's an understatement. It's absolutely terrifying. The day of the trial came, and she was nervous because she didn't know what would happen. She talked about how a lot of women go through things that they feel no one would believe them or even care. And yeah, true. So they don't want to fight or speak up. It's really hard to. She knew that this was the boss battle. In another animation, she walked in the court in her purple suit, trying to be tough, but she was feeling shattered on the inside. Then she thought about how she needed to show up for Megan Pete. The animation then went through her trying to surface from drowning, and then went through all the other animation scenes all the way back to her child self looking at Megan Thee Stallion in the mirror. Then she pushed herself back to the surface. It was very moving. It clicked. This wasn't about looking strong. It's okay to be sad, and she needed to stop avoiding it. So she spoke the truth and got emotional in court. And fans were rallying outside in support. Then it was time to wait. In the meantime, Kelsey testified saying that she didn't remember anything, which really threw a wrench in. In the following days, Megan was nervous about what the outcome would be. She had been fighting this for 2.5 years, so just imagine. But she wanted to win for civilian women who also go through similar things but can't afford to fight. They can't pay for the lawyers or anything like that, and they can only speak the truth. And that's really difficult to do. She was in her home in Miami, I believe, around Christmas when she got the news that he got the highest charge. She hugged her assistant, sobbing out of gratitude and relief, as it was said that he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The truth had finally won. In 2023, she thought that she would be a new woman. However, she still had to deal with it. But now she's getting to the point where she no longer cares. She's taking care of herself now because she wants to feel good. Everything she does is for herself now, and she's hopeful for what's next. Now in 2024, she's really killing it. And she feels like her mom would be proud of her, and I 100% agree. I think her mom would be so fucking proud of her. Granted, I never knew her mother, but goddamn is she amazing. Amazing woman that we should all look up to, honestly. So there's so much to say here. Women are expected to be strong and to deal with the bullshit that selfish men do to us. And it's about to get worse. We really need to rally in support of each other instead of tearing each other down. Embracing your sexuality doesn't mean that it's okay for men to take advantage of you. It's absolutely not. And the blame should always rest with them, not you. It doesn't mean that it's okay to be vilified and to be labeled as a liar. You do not owe anyone anything. You do not owe anybody sex. You do not owe anybody your body. It's yours. And when a woman comes forward with her story, yes, we need to look for evidence. But yes, we also need to believe her. Especially if she was shot or abused in any way, and there's irrefutable proof of that. I'm a believer that the truth will always come out, no matter how long it takes. It's important to look for the truth and not believe the media or what the parties who profit the most are saying. Be understanding and listen to the victims. It is fucking hard as hell to come forward because the public makes it harder to do so. Let's be kinder and support victims and survivors, especially if you are one yourself. Megan deserved all the support in the world. More should have showed up for her instead of vilifying her for having sex. I should have showed up for her too, and I regret that I didn't. I regret that I didn't pay attention. I should have. So let's all learn from this and not continue this vicious cycle. I encourage you all to listen to her music. I really like what I've heard on Traumazine so far, especially Anxiety, Not Nice, and Plan B. I haven't listened much to her new stuff yet, but I did really like Never Play with RM of BTS, and that has animation in it too. She is a world-class artist who's only just beginning. She is a true rapper and hip hop artist that the world, especially women, needs. I encourage you all to watch the documentary. It's on Amazon Prime and it is so well made. I love the animation and how it fits really well with the rest of the documentary, yet threw in that unique spin on what was going on in her mind. She loves anime, so it was really cool to see that influence and to see it done in a way that wasn't too jarring. Overall, it makes you think differently and see the human being that she is, which I've been trying to so hard to do with my channel as someone who does music, is to lift that veil and encourage you all to see artists as people instead of objects, instead of idols, instead of putting them on a pedestal or, vilifying them. So I really highly encourage that you all watch this documentary if you have access to Amazon Prime. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe as I will continue to put out content like this, and I will see you next time. Bye.